Welcome back. It is exactly 8:49 on News and Views on Salam Media, and we're now going to be talking with Professor Lesiba Teffo regarding the Zuma-backed MK party, saying that the ANC is a bully after trademark infringement court action threat. Zuma, who was president of the ANC from 2007 to 2017, said that he's backing the newly formed MK party that is named after the ANC's now defunct military wing, which was disbanded after the liberation struggle. So he also goes on to say that he has called on other South Africans to vote for the new formation, saying it would be a betrayal to vote for the ANC. Of President Cyril Ramaphosa. So let's weigh in on this matter with Professor Lesiba Teffo. Very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and good to you and the listeners.
So, is this a last ditch attempt by Zuma, who is age 81, on trying to still have some form of political power? Or is it a situation where he does still have a lot of political clout and he could sway the vote in the upcoming elections?
Whatever the motives for for him to continue to want to play a major role in the politics of South Africa could be subject to debate for its mood. But I often want to invite people to say to them, can we bracket him out and say, what is it that he's saying? Does it make sense or not make sense? His part notwithstanding. And I hear him say to me, I'm not a philosopher like Mavuso Msimang or Tawo Mbeki. We are at Eden, the three of us, we are agreed that things are not what they should be and something must be done. However, for the other two, they can only stop at the level of rhetoric or philosophy. I want to implement a program to bring about change. And it is at that point, for me, that's where the debate starts, regardless of who's saying what.
Are you confident that we would have that type of a person that could move South Africa forward? And when we talk about Jacob Zuma, my mind goes back to the riots, and I kind of wonder, and that's why I use the word, does he still have that amount of clout? My mind goes back to the time of the riots here in South Africa, where there was absolute mayhem in the country, and you kind of wonder, does can one person still command such power that he can bring the country to an absolute standstill?
Yeah, it's just that the whole discussion has got many layers, and it depends on the perspective that one wants to take. And the perspective that I want to take is the one that says things are not as they should be, and change is desired, and it's desired yesterday. Whatever else can be done to bring it about, so be it. And that's a starting point. Remember, it's far too easy to blame Zuma for everything, including the weather, whether it's too hot or too cold. Even by those that were in cahoots with him. Whatever he did, he didn't do alone. How many times? More than 8 times. People wanted to vote him out, but the ruling party said nothing doing because they were self-serving. They were not serving the country. It's only at the time when he lost power, then they were prepared to ditch him. So I have no sympathy for people who want to pretend otherwise, that the man is the devil, when yesterday they embraced him at all costs because they had nothing but self-interest at heart, not national interest. Yes, Zuma still has power, by the way. Zuma still has immense influence. And I'm saying, watch the space. His impact, there is no doubt about that. But who created the conditions that a man as flawed as Jacob Zuma could still be commanding so much support? I dare say is the ANC. I dare say to some extent is the DA. I dare say to some extent are all these small parties that everybody thinks he can be a president. If they formed one united bloc, they could unseat the ANC and bring the desired change we want. I don't see the ANC must go. It can come back in another form. But certainly, as they are right now, they aren't the one who can take us out of this rut.
So, what do you believe is the way forward? Because for me, I'm thinking that the ANC has lost a lot of ground recently, but they've got one big win in their as a feather in their cap, and that is the stance they've taken regarding the Palestinian situation, and having taken Israel to the ICJ. Do you think that might swing people's
Not at all. No, it's far too late in the hour. I'm very proud of them, by the way. They made me proud. I'm proudly South African for the stance taken, but it's too late in the hour for them to save this country. The logic they had to save this country has run its course. The brand ANC has lost its luster. There isn't much that they can do to redeem themselves. The stance, commendable as it is on Israel, notwithstanding.
So let's look at whom you believe could be the strong contenders for taking over and leading the country into a very bright, hopefully good future. We just have lots of little political parties, everybody trying and vying for the role of president and being the governing party. How do you see all of this playing out? What concerns me is all the smaller parties and the talks of coalitions. We know that coalitions at local government level have not worked thus far. The only the only possible workable solution we're seeing is in the Western Cape, but there too the DA has been fingered as bringing back apartheid to that part of the country, because the poorest of the poor are not getting the services they deserve, and the rich are living very, very cushy lives with all of the services at their behest.
Yeah, well, it's multi-layered to the question, but I always am tempted to start with the DA because, we're talking about immigration. Who are the people who are buying property and looking forward to go to the Western Cape? Is the political elite. Is the ones. Because the service delivery is comparatively better. Security is comparatively better. The frequency of load shedding is fairly low. There is a vision of where they want to go. Imperfect as they are, it remains the best run province, even by ANC research. And not only the province, wherever they are given an opportunity, the DA runs its governance better than anyone else. Go to Midval or go to Papas in KwaZulu-Natal. What am I saying? If we can find a formula or a recipe to work together, black and white, we can make a difference. I hate to put emphasis on color, but I equally am not prepared to say where I see good, I don't celebrate it simply because of the color of my skin. I concede that there are challenges with coalitions, but unfortunately, they are here to stay. I'm one of those 15 who I said we are headed in that direction. If you want coalitions to work, they work, and they work across the globe. I asked some politicians right in Parliament, how many of them, even today, know that Germany, Britain, one way or another, is governed through coalition governments. Some of them, they don't even understand the concept itself, right? But where there is political maturity, where public office is about the other and not the self, coalitions work. And kicking and screaming at one stage will have to find a formula to make them work, especially given the plethora of smaller parties that have emerged. They can weaken the ANC, but they can't unseat it unless they agree to form one bloc with one candidate who lead them. Yes, the ANC will still be in charge for some time. In a reformed, refined, renewed form, but with less influence, possibly with less majority. But it can still cobble, I say, a coalition government with relatively small parties. Remember, ma'am, all these people tend to hate, they claim to hate the ANC. but they are all willing to be accommodated as long as they can be given positions. Suddenly they forget that they walked away to form opposition parties because they were opposed to the ANC. The ANC dangles a carrot, or they even if they don't, they go there asking for seats. They ask for accommodation.
So, what do you see, going forward? Obviously, the ANC is going to be working very hard at forming coalitions and still staying, being the ruling party. Whom do you believe would go on board with the ANC?
Uh, well, if they go with the DA, one would say they
Oh,
said those ones come with governance experience. They
mm.
have that credibility.
Is
And
that
I
a
hear speeches in
possibility? Is that a workable possibility?
undoubtedly. For me, South Africa, whether it likes it or not, it will have to find a way where blacks and white can work together. If you don't, you'll perish together as fools.
Sure.
I've moved away from the idea that tends to say white people will bring back apartheid. What I'm saying is what the MK Veterans League, through the mouth of Dr. Zunugisi Kalala, have said on numerous occasions that if they had their way, the MK Veterans League, they said they would prefer that option where the ANC work with the DA. That's not me. I'm just rehashing what I read
Right.
and heard.
And you think it could be a very viable proposition for us here in South Africa?
Oh, yes, it is. But I know there will be opposition, not so much because of what it cannot yield, but because of what people can lose. Our
Mm, mm.
politics is about the self and not the other, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where the problem lies. You
Mm,
can't tell
mm.
me that where these other folks, where they govern. I mean, when people go all out in the municipality in Tshwane to make the other not serve his or her own people. I mean, politics, at the end of the day, we want to serve the people. But you say, I don't want you to be seen to be serving them well. I would rather sabotage you. That's makes of political bankruptcy and illiteracy.
Absolutely. And also cadre deployment, tenderpreneurs,
Uh,
capture, all of that comes into play. But that's where we're going to have to leave it, Professor. Lovely talking with you, Professor Lesiba Teffo. You are a political analyst, and we do value your input this morning on the show. Go well and God bless.
Thank you.
1 minute after 9 o'clock, this is News and Views on Salam Media, and standing by to talk with us is obviously Zai Jadwit with the news bulletin of the morning.